So, what does critical analysis look like for us? Well, we have to start by finding something that we want to analyze. It might be something you stumble across while you're reading. Now, here's an example for me as I was reading Kanazawa. This claim about male high school teachers and college professors. Unlike their female counterparts, they have a higher than expected rate of divorce and a lower than expected rate of remarriage. Here's the interesting part. Probably because they are constantly exposed to girls and women at the peak of their reproductive value. When I first saw this, my reaction was to get upset and to think about my own personal experience. Well, I'm not divorced. My male colleagues aren't divorced. Clearly, this must be false. But that's not really a meaningful critique. We have to be prepared to look at the data and look at the methods. And let's do that. Here's the footnote we can follow. And we'll see, here we are in chapter 3. Okay. So if we go to the notes, and then we can skip through and find what note this refers to in chapter 3. Okay, and here it is here. Kanazawa and Still. Okay, so now let's go to the references. Maybe just do a quick search for Still to find that co-author. All right. Oh, and here it is right here. Teaching may be hazardous to your marriage. My goodness. Well, the next step then is to find the original article. You can do that by going to the library search note, type in author's name, some keywords. That will take you to a result list. And there you can follow the UC links. You have to just keep on clicking through for a little bit, but eventually that will take you to the actual original text, which you can download. At that point, I suggest you read it a few times. That's what I did. It took me several readings to really kind of come up with a critique to this. Let me show you my notes. You can see I start out by noting down the source and what I knew about it. And one of the first things I noticed was that there was quite a bit of data here. They'd been studying people for 3 decades, and they had over 30,000 people in this study. And my hopes kind of sank at this point. It's like, oh, maybe this is true. Here's what when I started looking over the data, was what I saw. In general, teachers are less likely to divorce than people in other professions. Also, men are less likely to stay divorced. In other words, they tend to remarry after divorce more often than women. That's a whole nother topic right there as to why. But here is the interesting part about the study. If you satisfy these 2 conditions, if you're male and you're a teacher, you're much more likely to stay divorced. Right? And there's Kanazawa's argument that that's because, these male professors can't ever be satisfied. In other words. But when you look carefully at the data, one thing you'll see is that it doesn't say exactly what Kanazawa is saying it does. It's not, for instance, saying that male teachers are any more likely to divorce in general. They're only more likely to stay divorced once they do. You get that? So there's one issue right there. And then this got me thinking about other things. Like, for instance, there's not a whole lot of follow-up research. If you really want to, make this connection that it's the female students that are doing this, well, okay, how about this? Why don't we look at male teachers in all male schools instead of co-ed schools and see what's happening there? All right, that might be a way to kind of look at this, right? Or what if we were to, maybe think outside the study, look for some external contradictions. Well, here's another study that says the biggest cause of divorce is money trouble. Well, money trouble for teachers? Let's think. Data suggests that their average salary is very similar to the kind of nationwide average. So that means their teachers are in keeping with the average, and they should be susceptible to what other studies say is the biggest cause of divorce. So this was my takeaway after looking at this study several times, is that it's interesting. It did find something about teachers not remarrying, but it is inconclusive. And the study title that is hazardous to your marriage is patently false because male teachers are no more likely to divorce in the first place. But the other thing I found out about the study is that it convinced a lot of people. Here's the Washington Post, pretty much repeating this study as, fact. Married men shouldn't teach.